My name is Brock Page, and I don't know anything about sports handicapping. I went 2-1 on my picks for Tuesday night's Major League Baseball action. That's going to keep my total win percentage at a cool 603. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and throw some proverbial darts in my underwear with some severely misguided sports picks in my two-bedroom apartment. First game I have for you, it is going to be St. Louis laying $1.30 at Philadelphia with a total at 9.5 runs. Currently, the Phils are getting 1.5 on the run line, and at the moment, 76% of the money's on the Cardinals to get the job done. Tonight's probables, Waka for the Cards, Pivetta for the Fightins. Speaking of the Phils, they've been ice cold as of late, going 1-9 in their last 10. They're also a winless 0-4 against these very St. Louis Cardinals. Believe it or not, however, despite being arguably the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball, there are a few bright spots for this Philadelphia team. They're 500 in the second game without a day off. They're also facing a Cardinals team who's won just 14 of 33 on the road. This Cardinals team is also winning just 37% in the second game without a day off. Having said that, though, St. Louis has been very good against bad teams, winning an impressive 71% of their games versus teams under 500. They're also 20-18 in games as the official favorite. With all that quality information in mind, the case can indeed be made for either side. But before I go ahead and select a winner, let's go ahead and break down the total real quick, which is once again posted at 9.5 runs. 2 out of the Phillies' last 4 games have gone over the posted total. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Cardinals are 3-0 for the overs in their previous 3 games before last night's action. Both teams' games are also collectively averaging 11 runs per game in their previous 4 contests. With all that in mind, the case for the over can certainly be made. But as for me, I prefer the Moneyline cash. So without any further ado, the time for talk is over. It's time for me to throw some proverbial darts in my underwear with a severely misguided baseball pick in my 2-bedroom apartment. Although I made a case for both sides, the fact of the matter is the Phillies continuously prove that they are one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball history. Moreover, they win a pitiful 28% of their games when Pivetta makes the start. Even worse, yes, it actually gets worse, the Phils are winning a pitiful 20% of their games versus 500 teams. Having said all that, I like the Moneyline equity here. I'm going to go ahead and pick the St. Louis Cardinals, who are laying just $1.30. I'm predicting a final score of 6-5 Cards. With my first dart in the book, we are going to slide into the next game of the show, Game 2. I'm talking about San Francisco currently laying $1.20 at the Atlanta Braves with a total at 9.5 runs. And at the moment, the Braves are getting 1.5 on the run line at home. Tonight's probables, Samardzija for the Giants, Newcomb for the Braves. And speaking of Atlanta, they have been playing some quality baseball as of late, going 3-1 in their last 4. They have also won 57% of their games that opened up at the current money line. With those very positive figures in mind, there are some trouble spots for Atlanta bettors as this Braves team wins just 39% of their games as the official home underdog. They're also facing a Giants team who holds the edge in head-to-head matchups. This Giants team is actually 3-2 in their contest with the Braves. So as bad as this Giants team has been, they're actually favored to win this one tonight. As far as my opinion on who wins it, I'm going to get to that in just a second. And before I get to a winner, let's go ahead and break down the total real quick. 2 out of the Giants' last 3 games have gone over the line. Meanwhile, on the other side, 2 out of Atlanta's last 4 games have also gone over the posted total. Both teams' games are also averaging 10 total combined runs per game in their last 4 collectively. With those figures in mind, the case for the over can certainly be made. But as for me, the time for talk on this game is over. It's time for me to throw my second dart in my underwear with another severely misguided sports pick in my 2-bedroom apartment. Although favored, this Giants team is rotten. They're winning just 31% on the road and a pathetic 26% versus teams under 500. It's for these very reasons that I think the underdog Atlanta Braves get the job done for some Moneyline cash. I'm predicting a final score of 6-4 Braves. We're going to slide into my next game where I'm going to throw dart number 3. Arizona plus 1.5 at Colorado with the total moving slightly downward to 11.5. Currently, the Rockies are the Moneyline favorites at $1.50. And at the moment, 61% of the money's on the Rockies to get the job done. Tonight's probables: Walker for Arizona, Hoffman for Colorado. Speaking of the Rockies, they've been red hot as of late, winning their last 6 consecutive. They've also had significant success against this Diamondbacks team, going 5-2 in head-to-head matchups with the D-backs. And I didn't say D-bags, I said D-backs. But if you think the Rockies are a lock to win, keep in mind they've won just 50% of their games. That opened up at the current money line. They're also facing a D-backs team who's winning an impressive 70% of their games when Walker makes the start on the mound. In addition to that, Arizona's 75% in the second game without a day off. With all that in mind, this is going to be a great game and really a great series. A couple of the best teams in baseball at the moment. That said, going to be a tough one to pick as well. But before I project a winner in this one, let's go ahead and slide into some total run breakdown real quick. 3 out of Arizona's last 4 games have gone under the line. Meanwhile, on the other side, Colorado's games are just 1-3 for the overs in their last 4 as well. In addition to that, both teams' last 4 games are collectively averaging just 9 total runs per contest. With those numbers in mind, the case for the under can certainly be made in this one. As for me, the time for talk is over for this game. It's time for me to throw my third dart in my underwear with another severely misguided baseball pick in my 2-bedroom apartment. I'll tell you what, these teams are good, and they are damn good. But having said that, this D-backs team wins just 45% of their games as the official road underdog. They're also facing a Rockies team who's a perfect 5-0 when Jeff Hoffman makes the start. They're also a staggering 80% in the second game without a day off. It's for these very reasons that I think the Rockies at $1.50 will get the job done for some money line cash. I'm predicting a final score of 5-4 Colorado. With my first 3 picks in the books, I'm going to slide in my 4th and final game for the show. I normally do 3. Today, I got 4 for you. I'm also talking about Houston laying $1.23 at Oakland with the total at an even 9 runs. Currently, the A's are getting 1.5 on the run line. And at the moment, 71% of the money's on Houston to get the job done. Tonight's probables: Fires for the Astros, Manea for the A's. Speaking of Oakland, they're struggling against these Astros, dropping the first 2 games of the series. They're also winning just 38% as the underdog or even money. But if you think the A's can't get the job done, keep in mind that they are 12-10 as the official home underdog. They're also facing a Houston team who dropped 2 of 3 to Boston over the weekend. Having said all that, the case can be made for either side. But before I go ahead and select the winner, let's go ahead and slide into some total run breakdown. 3 out of Oakland's last 4 games have all gone under the posted total. Meanwhile, on the other side, Houston's just 2 for 4 for the overs in their last 4 themselves. Both teams' games are also collectively averaging just 8 total runs per game in their last 4 communally. Those numbers in mind, the case for the under can certainly be made. Yada, yada, yada. The time for talk is over. Something about throwing darts, underwear, 2-bedroom apartment, or 1-bedroom. Who the hell knows? But when it comes to picking a winner in this one, I did make the case for both sides. That said, these Astros are a dominant 6-1 in head-to-head matchups with Oakland this season. They're also an absurd 83% as the official road favorite. These boys travel well. All told, I think the Houston Astros win this one outright for some money line cash. I'm predicting a final score of 5-3 Astros. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. If for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page. And have yourself a positive day.